Welcome, seekers of truth, to a journey into ancient wisdom that shapes our eternal souls. Look around. Every great empire and massive fortune decays into dust and forgotten echoes. Yet you spend your entire life trading precious blood to build a castle on shifting, unstable sand. Jesus revealed a shocking truth about two entirely different banks to store your life's greatest work. One bank ensures bankruptcy at death, while the other offers an eternal, indestructible return. Human life is the ultimate gamble, a desperate race to gather wealth before the final clock stops. We pour our heavy sweat and tears into cold stones, believing that earthly riches grant us true peace. But deep down, a quiet fear lingers in the shadows, whispering that all of this might be in vain. Ancient records from the Levant reveal an elite class obsessed with hoarding massive fortunes. They built heavy underground vaults, locking away mountains of silver and rich purple-dyed silk fabrics. They believed these impenetrable fortresses could completely shield them from the cruelty of fate. Crushed beneath heavy Roman taxes, the desperate desire to accumulate became pure madness. Men traded their compassion for heavy bags of coins, burying their empathy deep in the cold dirt. The hoarder sits in the darkness, clutching his leather pouch, completely blinded by his own toxic greed. He counts his silver pieces over and over, trying to fill an endless void inside his hollow chest. But the harsh reality of this earthly bank is a terrifying place, where physics demands ruin. Behold the expensive Tyrian silk, once a powerful symbol of unmatched royal power. In the damp darkness, tiny unseen moths are silently chewing through the incredibly costly threads. The magnificent garments of kings are slowly reduced to ragged scraps of worthless, decaying fabric. Behold the shining silver denarius, the absolute standard of ancient economic power. Relentless moisture and decay begin to eat away the proud faces of emperors stamped upon them. Rust and decay are the ancient forms of ruthless inflation, destroying value without making a sound. Every passing second, the hoarding millionaire is silently losing fractions of his precious kingdom. He builds thicker walls and buys heavier iron locks, fighting a losing battle against simple time. His mind becomes a paranoid prison, terrified that someone will snatch his fragile, rotting empire. The hoarder trusts in the strength of forged metal, ignoring the tragic irony of its slow decay. The heavy locks he bought to secure his glorious future are already blooming with bright orange rust. This is the grand illusion of material safety, a beautiful lie painted over certain demise. Nature herself mocks the arrogance of wealthy men who believe they can conquer the mighty flow of time. No amount of gold can bribe the relentless march of bacteria, moisture, and hungry insects. Even the most perfectly sealed ancient tombs could not protect the treasures of mighty pharaohs. They were consumed by the earth, proving that everything born of the dirt must finally return to it. Yet the modern human mind still worships this failing system, praying at the altar of bank accounts. We sacrifice our peace of mind for luxury cars and massive homes that demand endless maintenance. We become anxious servants to the very possessions we mistakenly believed we actually controlled. The earthly bank does not work for you. It enslaves your spirit with the constant fear of sudden loss. Every new acquisition simply adds another heavy chain around the neck of your exhausted soul. And while rust and moths work quietly from the inside, a much more violent threat gathers outside. If your greatest treasure can be devoured by tiny insects, is it truly a prize worth dying for? Under the cover of a moonless night, ruthless thieves approach the fortified mud brick walls of the vault. Biblical scholars note that ancient burglars simply dug through the soft clay walls of wealthy houses. Using crude, rusted chisels, they violently breach the sacred sanctuary of the wealthy hoarder. In a matter of brutal minutes, the lifetime accumulation of sweat and blood is stolen away. The hoarder is left staring at the crumbling dirt and empty chests, his soul crushed into pieces. Today, the thieves use advanced technology to drain entire digital accounts in the blink of an eye. The method shifts, but the devastating result remains exactly the same across all human history. The grand illusion of earthly safety shatters, proving that a castle built on sand will surely fall. If all your joy is tied to things that can be stolen, your happiness is entirely out of your control. You are living in a permanent state of vulnerability, bracing for the inevitable loss. In stark contrast, Jesus points our weary eyes toward the boundless and indestructible heavenly bank. Step out of the suffocating darkness and look up into the brilliant, glorious light of the open sky. Here, the spiritual investor acts under a completely different set of eternal, divine physics. He wears a simple, unbleached linen tunic, his hands rough from labor but perfectly open and free. He encounters the destitute and the broken, the forgotten outcasts of the cruel Roman occupation. Instead of burying his silver in the dirt, he transforms his wealth into powerful acts of deep mercy. He shares his fresh bread with the starving and offers his own warm cloak to a shivering stranger. Every single act of pure love creates an eternal deposit that absolutely no thief can touch. The heavenly bank does not recognize gold. It strictly trades in the currency of the human heart. Moths cannot consume a selfless sacrifice, and rust cannot corrode a genuine moment of forgiveness. The physical bread may be eaten and gone, but the spiritual value of that gift shines forever. This is the ultimate investment strategy, turning earthly goods into permanent heavenly glory. The spiritual investor walks with a light step, free from the terrifying burden of loss. He does not need iron locks or stone walls, because his greatest treasures are safely guarded by God. His portfolio consists of uplifted souls, healed wounds, and countless quiet acts of radical grace. As the dark, cold shadow of death approaches, the spiritual investor feels absolutely no fear. Death is the ultimate judge, stripping away every single piece of matter we desperately clung to. When the shadow of death finally arrives, what eternal currency will you hold within your open hands? The shadow of death has no jurisdiction over treasures secured inside the heavenly kingdom. You cannot pack a suitcase for your final journey, but you can send your true wealth on ahead of you. Every time you choose to generously give, you are literally transferring funds to your eternal home. The beautiful irony of life is that keeping your wealth ensures you will eventually lose it all. But willingly giving it away in the name of love guarantees that you will possess it for all time. The ancient beggar's smile was far more valuable than the emperor's heavy, rust-covered silver coin. This spiritual wealth forms an eternal currency, transferred directly into the glowing light of God. Jesus understood the profound psychology of human attachment and the terrifying grip of greed. He knew that our physical possessions slowly become heavy anchors, drowning our souls in deep water. To break this dark curse, we must actively join the radical economy of divine generosity. The heavenly investor knows he is merely a temporary steward of God's abundant creation. He views his earthly resources as powerful tools to lift humanity, rather than trophies to hoard. By opening his hands to the needy, he also opens his own heart to the light of the divine. Brilliant volumetric rays of the sun illuminate his path, symbolizing the pure grace of his actions. There is a profound, unshakable peace that comes from knowing your true value cannot be stolen away. You no longer obsess over unstable markets because your core investments are secured safely in heaven. The anxieties of the material world fade into the background of a joyful spirit. This is the brilliant secret to escaping the exhausting, endless rat race of modern society. We must redefine our concept of success, shifting from heavy accumulation to joyful sharing. When the final judgment arrives, we will not be asked about the size of our ruined earthly estates. We will simply be asked how deeply we loved and how freely we shared our gifts with the broken world. The towering shadow of death sweeps across the land, coming equally for the rich king and the poor slave. Terrifying darkness envelops the hoarder's vault, plunging his ruined empire into absolute black. He reaches out with trembling, empty hands, desperately trying to grab onto a world that is fading. But the heavenly investor stands completely firm, his soul glowing brightly against the approaching night. He welcomes the transition, knowing that the eternal treasures he sent ahead are waiting to greet him. The stark contrast between absolute despair and perfect peace is the final result of this great gamble. True spiritual freedom is found at the exact moment you finally let go of worldly attachments. The heavy chains of greed are completely shattered by the simple, beautiful act of selfless compassion. As the sun sets over the ancient Levantine hills, the ultimate truth of our existence becomes clear. We are eternal beings, visiting a material world, meant to learn the profound lessons of love. Our physical bodies will return to dust, but our spiritual legacy will echo forever. Choose your bank very carefully, because the location of your treasure will forever capture your heart. The devastating tragedy of the hoarder is not losing his gold, but losing his eternal soul. He worshipped the creation and completely forgot the glorious Creator who gave him his life. Now he stands before the final judge, his hands empty and his spirit broken beyond repair. His massive vaults, once a source of deep pride, are now the very stones that crush his weary spirit. The earthly bank has finally closed its doors forever, leaving him bankrupt in the kingdom of God. But look again at the heavenly investor, stepping into the pure light of absolute truth. He surrendered his earthly possessions and discovered an ocean of magnificent grace. His treasures of mercy and compassion shine brilliantly in the golden halls of heaven above. Every single tear he wiped away and every hungry mouth he fed is now a crown upon his head. He did not serve the cruel master of earthly wealth. He served the loving God of the entire universe. Jesus made it perfectly clear. You simply cannot serve both the Almighty and earthly money. The human heart is far too small to divide its total devotion between two rival masters. If wealth is your God, it will demand your entire life and leave you completely empty inside.
But if the Lord is your true God, He will take your humble offerings
and make them eternal. This is the ultimate victory of the spiritual realm over the fading illusions here. The ancient ruins of the Levant stand as a silent testament to the folly of human greed. The massive stone walls have crumbled, their purple silks rotted, and their mighty names faded away. Yet the timeless words of Christ continue to echo through the long corridors of human history. Store your treasures in heaven, where thieves cannot break in and rust cannot destroy your precious wealth. For where your eternal treasure is, there your fragile human heart will also forever be found. This profound teaching challenges the very foundation of our modern, consumer-driven lives.
Get your parchment, fresh parchment here.
We are constantly bombarded with the dangerous lie that more possessions bring us true peace. But true peace is only found when we finally release our tight grip on the fading things of this earth. When you look into the mirror tonight, ask yourself what currency you are truly collecting. Are you building a fragile empire of dust, or a glorious kingdom of eternal compassion? Every single day presents a brand new opportunity to transfer your wealth to the heavens. The choice between the darkness of the vault and the light of the sky is entirely yours to make. Do not wait until the shadow of death falls upon your house to realize your terrible mistake. Step into the light, open your hands, and experience the beautiful freedom of letting go. Your eternal reward is waiting for you, safe and secure in the loving arms of the Creator. The ultimate bankruptcy is arriving at the gates of heaven with nothing but earthly receipts. You have now seen the truth about the unstealable treasure and the fading illusions of wealth. But your restless mind still screams in panic about the terrifying bills of tomorrow morning. How do we silence the crushing anxiety that paralyzes our faith in God's daily provision? Jesus offered the most profound psychological therapy to shatter our deepest worries. Calm your trembling heart and join us in episode 45 for the ultimate revelation. We will uncover the divine secret to living a peaceful life without the fear of tomorrow. Witnessing the decay of earthly wealth forces us to face a deeply uncomfortable question. Are you building an eternal legacy, or just decorating your spiritual tomb? Share your thoughts. If this truth awakened your soul, please subscribe, like, and share to spread the holy light to others.